Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today, our group will be discussing on language, culture, and identity. We will be presenting on the first part of it. Okay, so the overview of what we will be discussing today is on defining culture, cultural parameters, stereotypes, framing our conceptual universe, and last but not least, linguistic relativity. So, first of all, I will be defining culture. There are numerous definitions of what culture actually is. Laysan Asmani defined culture as a way of life. It is the context in which we exist, feel, and relate to other people. It is the glue that binds a group of people together. Our culture is our continent, and collective identity. It is also a blueprint that guides the behavior of other people in a community. In other words, it means that it governs our behavior in a group, and also it helps us to know what other people expect of us and the consequences of not fulfilling this expectation. Culture is also the ideas, customs, skills, arts, and tools that characterize a group. Now, whereas Matsumoto defined culture as dynamic system of rules, it includes attitudes, values, and belief. It varies within and across culture, or in his words, harbored differently, and relatively stable and has the potential to change. In order for culture to be dynamic, it has to be relevant. The whole point of culture is for the older generation to pass down this culture and tradition to the younger generation. If the younger generation feels that these customs are old school and not cool, culture stops being relevant. In order for it to be relevant, it needs to change and adapt over time. Otherwise, culture will become obsolete. Next. Now, Norton and Toohey, they describe culture as a current research constantly emphasizes the fluidity of culture. Condon describes culture as the reality we perceive within the context of our culture, and it is created. It is a reality that we created. It is not a reality that is empirically defined. Whereas Pavlenko and Norton, they describe culture as subjective phenomenon. A person's perception of purity may be real or imagined. That is all from me. Moving on to the next presenter.
Okay, so we will continue our presentation with cultural parameters. So throughout the years, anthropologists and also sociologists have been studying people, how people connect to each other, what makes them related to each other, or what breaks them through, for example, their religion, the language, family beliefs, and all that. But cultural parameters is like a newest way to connect people together. So we can call cultural parameters as glue, as what Safi has presented before, a glue, what connects people together. Okay. So there are 8 cultural parameters, which is individualism versus collectivism, power distance, uncertainty avoidance, gender role differentiation, action focus, space distance, time orientation, and tightness. And I will be presenting on the first 2, individualism versus collectivism, and also power distance. So individualism versus collectivism. The degree to which a culture values needs of the self over the group, or vice versa. So for example, for the individualism, people in individualistic society, they believe that it is about them instead of about other people. But it's in collectivism, they prefer greater needs of society instead of just for them. They are willing to sacrifice their own happiness or their own well-being as long as it brings greater goods towards all the society. So in terms of language and also study, for example, people from collectivist society, students from the collectivist society, usually they will automatically tunduk whenever lecturer asks, okay, who wants to answer this question? We will unless the lecturer point out, okay, you answer the question, Zeti answer the question. Only then we will try to answer that question, because we value what other people think about us. That's what collectivism means. But in individualistic country, when teacher just asks generally or randomly, okay, who wants to answer, he will voluntarily put their hands up and try to answer the question. Okay, for Taoism is the extent to which a culture accepts hierarchical power structures and consider them to be normal. This is the closest example is Malaysia, our own country. We are a high powerism country. Why? Because we tend to believe that we have to respect our higher ups and all that. And the biggest example that we can connect to is the Dato' Datin, the Tan Sri and all. We cannot get that thing wrong. And like the panggilan hormat, yang berbahagia, yang amat berbahagia. You cannot use yang amat berbahagia for like sultan or kings. You cannot use that. You cannot use yang amat berbahagia for just typical menteri, minister. You have to use for prime minister is yang amat berbahagia. The wife for prime minister have another term for it, yang amat. Something. You cannot get that thing wrong. I think that's all.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to friends. So I'll be continuing on another 3 cultural parameters. So the first one is uncertainty awareness, which is the extent to which people are uncomfortable in unstructured, unclear or unpredictable situations. This means that how culture differ on the amount of tolerance they have of unpredictability. So there are two situations which are strong and weak. So strong cultures are less comfortable with uncertainty awareness and attempt through laws, rules and regulation. Meaning that they are attempt to manage unstructured situation not only through formal but also in explicit rules. For example, children or students they expect that teachers know all their answers and they are taught in structured manner. So they are expected to follow traditional gender roles. So for the weak uncertainty awareness culture, they are more comfortable and they are more relaxed to face unstructured situation. For example, children they don't expect that their teachers have all the answers, so that they will learn by themselves to get all the answers that they want to know. Next slide. Next is gender role differentiation. It is a distinction between what men and women are expected to do in different cultures. For example, in our culture, women are expected to be more polite as compared to men. And lastly, action focus, which is differences in valuing of doing versus being. Doing culture, decisiveness and spontaneity are valued over reflectiveness. Responses to problems may be immediate. For example, when they are doing a discussion, they try to be patient and provide discussions about risk management and factual reasoning. And for the being culture, they value contemplation and tradition. For example, when they are doing discussion, they try to be patient and provide discussion about risk management and factual reasoning. I'm sorry, the example for the doing culture is when they are doing a discussion, they expect new ideas to come out from the individuals, meaning that they are able to accept risk in discussion. Let's go from me.
Okay, so I'm going to continue with the last 3 of cultural parameters. So
So space distance. Space distance is the differences in standards for touching, proxemics, eye contact, privacy, and etc. There are two cultures in space distance, which are public space culture and also private space culture. Public space culture accepts non-verbal distances, touching, and etc., meaning that it has less boundaries and has less personal space. For example, in America, they have less boundaries among themselves, where closeness is accepted, encouraged, and is a large part of their culture. Meaning that hugging, kissing, and holding hands between strangers is considered appropriate and just a friendly gesture for them. While private culture value larger space bubbles in conversation and has minimal touching. For example, countries like Germany prefer to guard their personal space. It means that maintaining an arm's length of personal space in a conversation is a normal distance for them. So next. So next is time orientation. Time orientation is the extent to which the culture values fixed time concept versus fluid time concept. Fixed time culture are punctual, acutely aware of passing time, single focus, goal fixated, and are more intolerant of interruptions. For example, for an American, time is truly money for them. They believe that the past is over, but the present you can seize, parcel, and package to the immediate future. They prefer to do only one thing at a time, to concentrate on it and do it within a fixed schedule. While the fluid time culture, they are more flexible with time constraints, slower pace, and see value in the journey as much as reaching a goal. They tend to enjoy the moment, the present. Okay? For example, Italians organize their time in an entirely different way from Americans. They are not very interested in schedules or punctuality, and they also usually consider time to be subjected to human feelings and relationships, meaning that, okay, for example, the business they have to do and their close relations are so important that it is irrelevant at what time they meet. Instead, the meeting is what counts. The meeting itself is what counts. So the American cannot swallow this as it offends their sense of order, of tidiness and planning. So the last one is tightness. Tightness is the degree to which a culture is homogeneous. There are two cultures in tightness. The first one is tight culture and loose culture. Tight culture is highly integrated with few differences among members of a community, offering great validity to generalization. Example for tight culture is Korean and Japanese. While loose culture, they exhibit diversity, accepts greater divergence of beliefs, customs, religion, and is therefore harder to pin down. Some example for loose culture is Malaysia and America. As we all know, Malaysia is a diverse country, and we have lots of races, religions, but yet we somehow manage to live harmoniously. Okay. Moving on to my friend.
Okay, so hi everyone. So let's move on to the next topic, which is stereotype. Thanks. So these are some of the examples of common stereotype based on race, religion, and a lot more. And these are some of common stereotypes based in Malaysia, in our country itself, on the states such as Kelantan, Terengganu, and Kedahan, and Penang. As you can see, Kelantanese women like gold, accessories, and eat wudu. Terengganuians like to eat fish. Kedahan are loud. Penangats are bad drivers. I'm from Terengganu, but I don't like to eat fish, so that's a wrong stereotype for me. Next. So before we go and dive into the meaning of stereotype, let's learn a little bit about worldview. So worldview is a person's belief,
about the essence of the word. Like my belief on this religion or this race, or your belief in this religion or this race, somehow it can be different. So stereotype is an oversimplification and blanket assumption, which means when you see someone from different than you, you tend to simplify them and assume based on what is your worldview, what is your belief about the certain essence of the word. And then we tend to stereotype others based on races, religion, gender, and more. Just like what we learned previously in cultural parameters, we learned about gender role differentiation, action, and a lot more. So yeah, it can lead into stereotypes. And we assign group characteristics based on cultural membership, meaning that when you're in this religion and you know certain stuff about this religion, so when you see someone from that religion, you will assume based on their membership of that culture. And it's almost always inaccurate because it is formed from prejudgments and misjudgments. And when you misjudge someone and you assume them of, especially the negative stereotype, it can potentially devaluing people. So
Next, we move on with stereotype. Also, okay, we often associate stereotypes with negative perceptions. Like we often thinking like some people have this kind of habit and this is it is. But stereotypes also have positive. There are also positive stereotypes. For example, Asian American, or we call them as model minority, or a group that success in US, are the kids that are considered as smart kids, excel in mathematics, and also always get a good grade. For example, in Malaysia, we always think like Chinese children we always think that they are always excel in mathematics, right? So, but unfortunately, for these positive stereotypes, there are also come with negative consequences. For example, for these Asian American kids, they got a lot of pressure from everyone around them, because everyone around them will always think that they are good with mathematics, they will excel academically. And so, based on Atkinson and Matsumoto and John, cross-cultural research that shows that there are reasonably predictable characteristics that differentiate cultures. That's all from me.
Now, moving on to framing our conceptual universe. Next. Framing our conceptual universe. So there's a theory upon this topic, which is Lacoste 2004 theory on framing, highlights that the importance of language and verbal labels in molding the way people think. Verbal labels here indicate the labeling part refers to the verbalization of information to be shared when presented. For example, descriptions of a person. For example, when someone wants to describe me, maybe my description will be short, what cars, my age, something like that. So the best example for this can be seen in the media world. The labels in the media world. Next. So under this topic, we have two highlights. One of them is weasel words. So weasel words tend to overhype very ordinary products into those that are the best. For example, this typical burger that you will get when you buy in reality, and this overhyped product that is promoted in their advertisements, and something that is commercialized with words with sculptures and rich, new, fresh, to attract people to buy their products. In reality, you will get this and not this. So if I were to refer to our typical daily life here in Malaysia, I can say, like, you know, when we go to pasar malam and stuff, there will be like cheese lele and stuff to indicate that thing is very delicious and full in cheesy goodness. That is one of the examples. Next. Another topic is euphemism. So euphemisms is an indirect word or expressions for words that are considered harsh when referring to something unpleasant. For example, the typical example that we can give is instead of saying that someone is dying, dead, we say he passed away. So another type of euphemism is, for example here, instead of saying secretary, you say administrative professional. So if you were to look at your textbook under euphemism, there are a lot of types of examples that are given. That is because there are different types of euphemism. That's it. That is all.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I will continue what Kila just presented just now. So early linguistic research shows how verbal labels can shape the way we store event for later recall. For example, if you look in a book in page 181, there is a drawing about an umbrella and mushroom. So adding small details on a drawing can help a person to differentiate the things. For example, if you want to draw an umbrella, you will add the hooked shape at the bottom of the umbrella. But if you draw a mushroom, you will add some spot to show that the mushroom is a fungi. Okay? So moving on to the next slide. Lexical items may reflect something about the intersection of culture and cognition. For instance, the category of color. Here in Malaysia, we have many colors such as orange, yellow, blue, red, and green. But in Zuni, for example, the Zuni tribe has only one term for yellow and orange. It means that they make the yellow and orange color as the same. Okay, understand?
Yes.
Okay. So next, other example for direction. Most Aborigines tribe commonly use cardinal direction term, which is the east, west, south, north. While here in Malaysia, we commonly use right, left, in front, and backward. Okay. So for the Aborigines, their east is on their right. East is their right, and west is their left. Okay, understand?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's all from me. We move on to next presenter.
Okay, hi. I will continue with talking part. Okay, beyond words, the way a sentence is structured can affect process of reading, which means that even a slight difference in a sentence can give a different meaning. For example, a group of students is shown a movie of automobile accident, and then teacher will ask them, did you see the broken headlight, and did you see a broken headlight? This difference maybe can just a small difference, but it can give a huge meaning. And also, it is commonly associated with law. For example, in a court, when the prosecutor wanted to know the truth about an incident, he or she will slightly stress on these differences to know the truth behind the incident. For example, in a Korean movie entitled Innocent Witnesses. Next. In our everyday conversation, we are obliged to standardize our conversation according to culture we belong to, because we know that every culture have various type of conversation. Okay, that vary cross-culturally. For example, in US, they are more famous in a conversation that focus on saving, while a Greek conversation may appear to be more intense. No, and in Japan, it is almost always expressed explicitly, which means that people interact with one another honestly by giving all the details, so that leaving no one to feel confused or wrong. And then it helps to shape one perception of other introduction of self. Next.
play into our folklore, for example. In considering about current terminology across culture, a language that does not have a specific terms, color name for like sea green is considered as lacking the ability to perceive variation of blue green. And this system is also related to Wolffield hypothesis that we further explain in the next part. Bye for now.
Okay, so the last one is linguistic relativity. So there are two, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which are linguistic determinism and also linguistic relativity. Linguistic determinism refers to a structure of a language influences the way its speakers conceptualize the world. So, for example, the Piraha people only have 3 numbers in their language. 1, 2, and many. So if there's anything beyond the 2 number, they will not be able to comprehend the world. For example, they don't have 3, 4, 5, 6. They only have 1, 2, and many. And then linguistic relativity, people who speak different languages see the world differently. For example, Aboriginal people don't have direction like we do, like right, left, front, and back. So instead of we normal people will say, can you pass the salt on your right? They will say, can you pass me the salt on the north? So the difference between linguistic determinism and linguistic relativity is that it's the same Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. It's just that linguistic determinism is the strong one and linguistic relativity is the weak one. That's all.